Dr. Crippen murdered his wife. At least that's what we thought for almost 100 years. This is Dr. Holly Crippen, and he and his wife were American, but they moved to the UK to set up his practice there. His wife Cora was a singer, and he sacrificed voluntarily a lot of his career. He spent a lot of time, money, and effort on trying to further her career and help her become a famous singer. And how did she repay him for all of his dedication and support? By cheating on him multiple times with multiple different men. Now, after years of this going on, Holly Crippen has had enough, and he decides to just get his own mistress. Why not? She's got all of these men running around. He's just got one, and her name is Ethel. So one day, Dr. Holly Crippen and his wife throw a party at their home, and they end up getting into a fight, and this is the last time anyone sees Cora Crippen alive. Maybe. Obviously, Cora's sudden disappearance throws up some red flags for people, and they start asking Dr. Crippen, hey, where's your wife? And he tells them, oh, she moved back to America. And after more and more people ask, he realizes that this is not being enough for them, or he says that he gets a letter saying that she was very sick, and eventually starts telling people that she died while in America. She's not coming back. She's dead now. And Dr. Crippen moves his mistress, Ethel, into his home, and people start to see her wearing Cora's clothes and makeup and using her stuff. And there's some people that are a little sketched out by this, obviously. And so one neighbor calls up Scotland Yard and says, hey, I think you should get out here and investigate this guy for the murder of his wife. So Scotland Yard sends out this guy. His name is Walter Dew. Inspector Dew talks to Dr. Crippen, and he says, hey, what gives, man? And Dr. Crippen says, well, I didn't want to tell other people this because I didn't want them to think I was a cuckold, but she actually ran away to America with one of the guys that she was cheating on me with. So that's why she left, is because she decided that she was done with me and she wants to be with this guy. And so they went to America together, and she died there. It's not clear to me whether he told Inspector Dew that she died there or not, but that's what he had been telling other people, but maybe that was supposed to just be a cover-up for the fact that he had been not only cheated on, but his wife had left him for another man. After talking to Dr. Crippen, Inspector Dew says, you know what, I don't really see anything that is throwing up any red flags for me here. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation, but you know what, if my wife ran away to be with another man, I would maybe do the same thing. I mean, this guy has been completely screwed over by this woman, so it kind of makes sense. So Scotland Yard is like, all right, cool, this guy didn't murder his wife, she just ran away to America to be with another man. But then Dr. Crippen does something incredibly stupid. He takes his mistress Ethel, dresses her up as a boy, and they run away in the middle of the night and get on a boat. Now Inspector Dew is like, innocent people don't generally run away in the middle of the night. So he and Scotland Yard come back and search the house, and in the basement they find what they refer to as a mound of flesh. There are no limbs, there is no head, there are parts of a torso which they determine to be female. There is also no bones in this torso. It is completely, it seems like it's been melted somehow as well. So Scotland Yard puts out the word and they say, we're looking for Dr. Crippen and Ethel. If you have any information, send them our way. Meanwhile, Dr. Crippen and Ethel are on a boat, and the captain is like, these people are acting real weird. This guy is claiming that this person with him is his son because he dressed her up as a boy, remember? But they're acting really inappropriately for a father and son. I'm pretty sure that this is Dr. Crippen and Ethel. And so when they are almost out of range to send a telegram back to the UK, he sends it through, says, help us out. I'm pretty sure they're on the boat. He doesn't tell anybody else on the boat that this is happening. The boat is completely cut off from what's going on in the outside world. So they don't actually even know that Scotland Yard is looking for them yet, or that they found the body. So Inspector Dew gets on a faster ship and speeds his way all the way to Canada so that he can meet them there. And the rest of the world knows that this is happening. Now, obviously there's no like television, so there's not like instantaneous, everybody knows this is happening, but it's in the news. Everybody knows that Walter Dew is in Canada waiting for Dr. Crippen and his mistress. As soon as they get off the boat, they are arrested, and Dr. Crippen says, and I quote, Thank God it's over. They were brought back to the UK and stood trial, which is what this picture is from. Dr. Crippen was charged with the murder of his wife, and Ethel was charged with accessory after the fact. Ethel was acquitted for her part in the crime. Meanwhile, in Dr. Crippen's trial, the main evidence that is being presented is that there was a scar tissue on the torso, or what was left of the torso, that matched a surgery that Cora had had at some time in her life. And this theory, or this evidence, was put forward by a man named Bernard Spilsbury. This was his very first case, and he became the foremost forensic scientist of his time. A lot of Agatha Christie's novels are actually based on some of his cases, including this one. Crippen was convicted of the murder of his wife, but he maintained that he was innocent until he was hung in November of 1910. And that's normally where a story like this would end, but it doesn't. 97 years later, in 2007, a lab decided to DNA test the remains that had been found in Crippen's basement. And it was not Cora Crippen. Not only was it not Cora Crippen, but the DNA showed that the torso belonged to a man. There are also records that indicate a woman coming from the UK and living with Cora Crippen's sister in New York, and she was going by a name that is incredibly similar to the name that Cora used as her stage name. Was that woman living with Cora's sister really Cora Crippen? Who was the male torso found in Dr. Crippen's basement? Did Dr. Crippen actually murder that man and decided it would just be just as good to take the fall for his wife's murder and not admit to the fact that he killed someone else? Did Cora actually kill the man? Was he one of her lovers that she had a falling out with, killed him, and then ran away to the US? Or maybe even did Ethel murder this man and it had nothing to do with Cora at all? Unless the DNA can be matched to somebody that is living or that has done a DNA test in the last several years, we will probably never get the answers to these questions. And even if it is matched, we may still never get the answers to any of these questions.